Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last segment of this episode. I'm here with Chris Kyebambe, aka Uncle Chess. I mean, has been telling us about the life in Miracle as a player. But now, Chris, I want us to switch it a little bit. I want us to talk about the current basketball in Uganda. I mean, you've coached in the league. I know you've also coached in Rwanda. You played back then. How do you compare the two, the league back then and the league right now?
Actually, I would say it's a bit of a contrast in what I see today and what I used to see during our time. And this also spirals not just only to our league, but as I see it even international, basketball. Not in a good way though. I would say we used to, kind of compete and not have this, like these excuses and these stops because you've been seeing like between me and you when you go to these other leagues and guys are being given breaks off games and you can imagine if I was playing for a club say like Bugolobi club or Luzira club because Bugolobi used to have a club actually. It's part of your history. They used to have a club in the league. Even before earthquakes, it was called Bugolobi.
Really?
Yeah, that's where the late also played. That is late Oaks.
Wilbur.
Yeah, and a guy called Onen and also Banis and Kunda used to play there. Yeah, I remember beating them. There's a game we played and all of us went to 100, but we really put more points over 100 than they did. Yes, yeah, but we were a high scoring team. I think that time, for those who know me, used to get 30, used to get 40-point games. Things that we think, things that we think are unheard of, but we used to get that. And actually nowadays, to get players who are averaging even over 20 points a game is hard. Even 18, 18 is really hard to see players who are getting 18 points a game. But beyond the scoring, we used to also contribute in other stat lines. Like with help with the rebounding, I'm playing one or two, but I'm picking my 7 or 8 rebounds. I have my about 2 to 3 assists a game. I have my about 2 to 3 steals, things like that. So we try to play the game like holistically, like in its entirety. You have a full circle kind of approach to the game. But what you see today is players are coming and they're looking entirely just at the box score. How many points did I score? And they're being jealous about the minutes they're playing. They're always disturbing the coaches. Like, yeah, I need more minutes. I need this. How can player X play 4 minutes more than me? Like even 4 minutes is disturbing the player, forgetting what the coach has seen tactically that other players bring to the team. But beyond that, I feel that the quality has fizzled out. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, which is good.
I think the competition remains between about 3 to 4 teams. Let's say 3 to 4 teams. I'm saying in the regular season, and this is not the postseason. In the playoffs, it's a different picture. In the playoffs, it's like about, yes, one team has won it for the last 13, 14, let's say 13 years or so. But yes, the City Oil team. But I would say it's not that the other teams were not competing, but there are other things that they did paying attention to every small detail that other teams are not paying attention to. And I think for me, what they have done well is like their recruitment. They keep the core. They keep the core of the players, about 7 to 6 players around, and then they keep building around. And they just don't go looking for anybody. They know exactly where the gaps are. We need a wing player. We need a number 2. We need a big man. They go fixing where they need to fix. And actually remember, they are one of the teams that changed it around. From teams used to have 30 players, they changed it around to their team having about 14 to 15 players. To even seasons where they've had 12 to, let's say 13, 14 players. Okay? It wasn't down to how many players you had in the club, but how they played their role and how consistent they were. And that's what they've changed about the game here. So what happens with the other teams, the challenge that has been there is that they're losing even their core. Like I'll give you an example, Power of about 3-4 years ago, or maybe about 5 years, which released about 9 players, almost everyone, and that killed the team. And now you can see what happened after that. I mean, they got relegated. I mean, is it a shock that they got relegated?
Very, very well. I mean, City maintains their core, and other teams let their core go, so it's really impossible.
Yes, and also the other thing they've done well is also having a good technical team around them. Learning that coaching is not about 1 or 2 people. So they have about 3 to 4 and then they keep some former players around who also give a few tips on the tactical stuff. So that keeps the team, because these players understand the culture, they understand the tradition of the team, and then they play within their structures. Okay? They have a structure, they don't change it that much, and then they keep winning within that very same structure. So I think for me, that has been a bit of an issue with the other teams, and that is why you've seen me say that there's been little competition over the last few, and then that makes the league look like its quality of the competition is really, really, really low. But also the other challenge that has been there is coaches, players all need to improve themselves.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to ask you about. Is it the players these days? Because I know back then I was talking to Stephen Omo. He told me he used to stay in Namongo, and he used to walk from Namongo to Pulko just to practice, and he walks back. So is it the players who have got it wrong, or it's just the system?
I think it's a bit of both. From building your character to building your discipline and letting you know the tips that you need to be a very successful player, then you end up not missing out on certain key things. But I think the players have missed out on that because it's been a bit of a void. So for me, and I'll say again, because the sprite is dead as well, so the quality of the players, because you find that many players from that level, secondary school, are then jumping into the clubs. Now the problem we have is that the sprite, the quality at the sprite of the national post-primary basketball is low. So this is work that goes back to the association that manages secondary school basketball, that they still have a lot to do. And I think as opposed to us when we used to play to qualify through different regions, and we used to play our games in their entirety in terms of stopping time, 8 or 10 minutes stopping time, the same way you'd play a league game. Nowadays guys are playing 4 to 5 minutes running time. And you see scores like sometimes you think, is this a football game? Is it? And the game is ending 8 to 12.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You get it. I know, Vinny. You've seen. I think Vinny, you've seen this kind of scores, and you even don't want to post that on your social media because it's embarrassing. Yeah, you're like, how can a game of basketball end like 10 to 4? You know, and how are you going to report what were they playing? Exactly. I mean, you get my point. That's and then you find the epitome of the competition, sorry to say it, like the national post-primary has about 50-something teams, and they have to play the competition within like 5 days.
Yeah, that's impossible.
You understand? It's almost impossible. It doesn't matter how many courts you have. Even if you have 3 courts, when you have those many teams, it's very hard to get them to play enough time. So the players are being cheated. So you find quarters ending with 2 points against 1. I mean, what kind of basketball? So even as a coach, if you are a trained coach, it's an embarrassment to you to be, you don't have time to do anything with them. You get my point? So now that is the quality of the players that are coming out of high school, and then they come into the clubs, which was different from our era. Because we used to get enough playing time and had good guidance and also so that brings out the kind of quality of players that we're having right now. And then you'd find even when Uganda was struggling, if you minus foreign players, if the foreign players are not available.
I actually just want to talk about the national team right now. I mean, back then, I think I watched the national team around 2012, 13. There was a team that had the Ivan and Abus, they had Ikong, they had Okias. I mean, those are all local players. I looked, I mean, I know we've gone for AfroBasket, it's a plus. I mean, we're celebrating. But trust me, I saw Ishmael Wine, right? I mean, we just, I don't know how to call it, nationalize him. We heard that, was it Baron Davis or something?
Yes, Davis.
Something Davis. Davis nationalized him. I mean, no disrespect to them. I mean, they've helped us in the country, they put us up there. But we're getting foreigners. I mean, the last national team that went to Rwanda for AfroBasket, we had a couple of international players. I don't know, is it really helping the country as Uganda, or we're just trying to, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, you've understood my point.
I've understood your point. I think the point is this: if we are going to change the trajectory of how things are going to be in terms of how we want the shape of our national team to look, what the future of our national team to be like, we have to be very intentional about how we do it. And the thing is, I know there are policies sometimes that may be scripted, maybe in parliament, or it could be in the ministry and things like that. But these should not just stay in the books or should not just stay in the documentation. But we need to go out and be very intentional about it. Now, I would say if they stay on the path of going to run camps in areas like last time I saw the U16, U18 camps in Gulu, I think there we will be on the right track. Because talent identification should be one of the tools you use to find the new talent or players with potential to become your next national team players. And then having them under the right, leadership in terms of the right coaching or the right structure of coaches, then should be the next. So what would happen is you go, you run those camps, maybe move those players to sports programs or schools that have good sporting programs for basketball, and they get scholarships. And under that particular program, you have these players being supervised. When these players get supervised, then they're playing either from U16 to U18 teams, and then from there you'll have them break some of them into the national team. But if we are thinking about only looking for players who are outside the country, like who are doing maybe AAU basketball, who are in high school in the US or in Europe, or who are playing in the NCAA, it's not a bad thing because they're Ugandan anyway, but it would only be good for them to complement the program, the local talent that's already there. So it should be 100% build the local talent to be very good and competitive at the highest level, and then let these few guys who are playing at the high level outside the country come and complement. So I would look at more of a 70 to 30%. But what is changing sometimes, you find a component of about less local players and more foreign players.
I was watching
in the national teams.
Rwanda, and look, I think there were 4 foreign players and only Jim and Nabu. So I was with guys who watched the league, and they asked me, "Is this Uganda Kweli?" But of course there was the Uganda.
The Jazzy, the Jazzy has
they never
Uganda.
really knew anyone. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So you're making a big point there.
Yeah, and also now this takes me back to what our focus is right now. Because I've been coaching. I did coach play with the Miracle team so many years ago. From there, I moved to Ndeje. I then also coached the KIU team, including the 2016 season. Was an amazing season, of course, until we lost out in the playoffs. But I think that season we go and win 22 games. We opened the season with 3 losses, won the next 19. Unbeaten, and then also went to win the opening games in the playoffs. So I think that record is still there for one of the longest runs, being unbeaten in the season. 22 with the KIU Titans. 2016, I was coaching at that time with Hamza Nyambogo at KIU. But that aside, there has been this whole variation of the basketball of tomorrow. I'm playing team X and Y, and then those are the X's and O's you're drawing. I felt at some point I'd been in that for too long, like about 16, 17 years in that kind of basketball. And I felt it was time for us to move on from that. So what happened is right now we're into sports development and we're working more with the youth. So about 4 years ago, when I went to Rwanda and I worked with an organization called Jabalee Sports Management. So Jabalee Sports Management is the organization I work with, and we're doing sports development in many schools and youth programs in Rwanda. So recently we ran the first international summer league. That was in June of 2023 in Kigali, Rwanda, and we had some teams coming from the US and local academies, and also had teams from Uganda as well. We had the Alton. I think Alton Academy did well. They won the U16. Yes, the boys won the U16. From Uganda. And then the Americans won the U12 category. So this year, as we speak, 2025, we're having the same event, but even bigger. So we're looking at a holistic approach to that event, whereby we're looking at them having a skills development, a camp kind of setting. So we have the first 3 days more of camp style. They have skills development sessions, and then after that in the afternoon they have 3-on-3 competitions. Then after that, after the 3rd day, then we break into the 5-on-5 competition where they play against the different countries, the different academies, international schools, and then our focus is U11, U13, U16, and U18. Our goal is, can we help these athletes as they're still young, and then we pave the way for them. And what's happening is that about 7 slots are going to be available in the USA for scholarships. with a partnership we've recently signed with the White Way Academy in Chicago, USA. They come from Chicago, Illinois. So we've signed a partnership with them for the next 7 years with the ISL. And they'll be giving opportunity to the athletes who have been spotted in that competition, 7 of them, to go to what? To America. And yes, to go, that is, yes, scholarships. High school and also college. Yeah, so we're trying to see that we can create opportunities for the African players to use their talent to get to play to the highest level. But also we have coaches coming from America and teams coming from America and Brazil that are going to take part, yes, in Rwanda, this July, 14th to 19th of July this year. We've invited about 17 teams youth teams from Uganda, iHoops, DreamWorks, and so many others. It's going to take 1 week. We're looking at a period of 1 week. So we're looking at 14th to 19th. It's going to be that full week. And then we also plan at the end of the day, before the prize giving ceremony, we'll have an All-Star Saturday competition where we'll have the best players get to play against each other. And then after that, we award them certificates. And then some of them, because they're going to be scouts around, will be getting opportunities to go and tap into the scholarships.
I mean, you've had it from the horse's mouth. The youth outside there, please be on standby. I mean, you may be the next big thing. You may be the next Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant. So, I mean, you've had it from Chris. I want to ask you some personal questions about the greatest of all time. We're going to begin with the boys category.
Okay.
Tell us about your best 5. I don't want you to put yourself in it.
No.
I know you're general. You're the best that has ever played the game. I mean, tell me about your best starting 5. Girls category. Let's begin with the girls.
With the girls, I think at number 1, I'll put Mavita. Mavita Ali was a very crafty player. You know, she could do a lot of things. You know, with a game. At number 2, I will look at. I can reward at number 2 in my team. Maybe I'll reward Flash. I won't take anything away from her for her longevity and seeing her in there. Yeah. So for leadership on the floor and ability to also knock down some of those long shots and things, I would put in my 2. You get it. Then number 3, I would look at Lamunu. Claire Lamuno, I think for me was amazing. The things she was able to do on the court. Very, very, very difficult player to play against. You get it. And then at number 4, I'm going to look at. I know it may not be a very popular choice for you, but I'll go with Liz. Yeah, I'll go. I'll go with Liz. I'll go with Liz Bazira for me and my 4. Yeah, because she was serious on both ends of the floor. When you had the ball, when you didn't have it, she played defense. She picked rebounds. She blocked shots. And then my number 5 is where it gets a little tricky for me, because I sometimes don't like the very big teams in terms of just going for the big boys or big size. So in my number 5, I would then look at a player also who I think may shock you, because I think you're going to say, oh, but I think for me she was pretty effective in her position when she played in that position. So I'll go with Miriam Hamala.
How can you say that?
So I'll go with Hamala Miriam. So Hamala, I saw her in that role. She understood her position very well, and I think she was pretty effective in that position.
Miriam play, and I know her footwork.
Yes.
I know it was like Henry Malik on the post there.
So those would be my 5.
Yeah, I mean, well deserved. I mean, those are also
and you'll always want to say, can I get a team B? And team B, I'll have something, but I know you've asked me for only one team. But you can stick to the starting 5.
Okay, give me some 2 subs from that starting for the girls' side.
I will not ignore, but I think one of your hosts, the people you had on your show, would have to be on that team.
Okay.
I think I would have Maureen there because, anytime you needed some business, she's a bit of like a Stephen Omon kind of player, she'd give you the business. So I think I would have her. Then the other player probably I would add to that team would be the left-handed player. But I'm going to ignore the left-handed player and go. The left-handed player that was Becky Akulo. But now I'll ignore Becky and give her slot to Francis Nabulovi over. That is so I'll have Momo and Francis as my subs. Yeah.
Then let's dive into the guys very quickly.
So for the guys, may sound a bit strange, but I would go for my number one. He didn't get as much time to play in the league, but I think for me he had proved a lot of his worth in terms of what he could do. And I'd put my number one would have Masiko, who played for Smark and was connected to the Blue Jackets team. Then number two, I'd put Ben Komakech. Played with Miracle. I signed him. He's still playing. He's as a deadly player as that. So I would have Ben Komakech in my number two. Then number three, I would have Captain America. You know, you may be my teammates, but you may not be my friend. So Stephen Omon. And then number four, because I don't actually Steve will go four. My three-man, because I'm going with a smaller team, would be Norman Bleak. So Steve will go four for me, okay? And then my number five for me that I'll go with, that I feel is a player that I liked his skill set and what he had in terms of what he brought to the league. This would go to the big guy, Stanley.
Mugera.
Stanley Ochiti.
Ochiti.
Stanley Ochiti, the guy Stanley Ochiti, because I saw a big man in a Ugandan jersey, but he embedded the new big man who evolves, can shoot the three, can shoot the two, he can, dribble, the zoom actions, is playing off that kind of basketball. So that kind of player. So for me, that would be my team.
Okay, then lastly, greatest of all time, girls category.
The chick doing TV, the one doing TV, you know her?
No, like in Uganda.
Oh, Uganda. Yes. Oh, Uganda, greatest of all time. Okay, greatest of all time for Uganda.
Girls, huh?
Girls, I would go with right now, because she has a lot to back up what she's been doing in the game. Right now, at this moment, right now, it's even not about preference and all that. It's about what she's done and what she's brought on the table in terms of what she's accomplished. It would definitely be Flash.
Yeah, of course.
Flash with what she's brought to the game and what she's accomplished, from different teams and
Then guys category, female category.
For the guys, I'll be honest with you. It's very close between two guys I played with and coached and managed, and this is Stephen Omonya and Norman Bleak. And I love them so much, but I think I'll give it to Stephen Omon, I'll give it to Steve, I'll give it to Steve.
Chris,
I thought you were going to the US and that the US, and I know because I appreciate Braun and what Braun does, and I know he may be watching this segment at some point. LeBron, I appreciate you and what you do. But I really would like to say the person who caught my eye, who inspired me to play basketball from all the different standpoints of view, and from every time you'd see him play, you feel you want to play basketball, you want to leave the house and go play basketball. There's always going to be one God for me. And sorry to say it, and that is Michael Jordan. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, that's my God.
I'm not surprised. I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I'm a Kobe fan.
Yeah.
But I saw Michael Jordan and he was.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe him. Black cheese.
Yeah. But I loved Kobe as well. Yeah. No offense.
I think that has been it. Thank you so much. You've educated me. I mean, I've been bragging about knowing the history of basketball, but there are some people and things you've been talking about, and I was glad. And I know the viewers outside there are very, very excited. I mean, thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure, and I would always love to come back anytime.
I'm definitely going to call you, but we still have a
lot. Yeah, I think we just touched the surface. So
do you have something else to tell the fans outside there?
Yeah, man, just the fans. I'd say, first of all, I appreciate Deep End. They're doing a commendable job. You guys do a lot of work for sports that many people don't do. We appreciate you guys. And we really follow what you guys are doing. Keep doing the good work. And for the young athletes out there, please, let's continue. Just stick to the basics. The basics will always make you the greater players. Always stick to hard work, no excuses, no shortcuts, and always believe in your coaches. But number one is always be confident, have the right attitude and always work hard, and the rest is history. You'll just, you'll touch every summit. You'll hit the sky will even not be a limit for you. But just be disciplined, be a good listener, and you'll succeed.
All right, you heard it from Uncle Chess, a superstar and a legend in Ugandan basketball. I've been your host, Vinny Jura, and do not forget to subscribe. On YouTube, click it there, different sports media, just subscribe and be a part of the family. I've been your host, Vinny Jura. See you next time. Mamba out.